Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Appa, my co-host / co-founder Vincent, we dive into the Disney... Oh, damn. I messed it up, Vincent.
It's okay, just start again.
I messed it up, Vincent. Vincent, I messed it up.
Just keep going. It's all right, you can do it.
Start?
You can do it,
Can I start it from the start?
You can start from wherever you want. You can start it from the middle if you really want to.
I don't, you know what? I'm just running with it.
Okay.
We dive into the streaming services and we tell you, the listener and the viewer, whether or not this is Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie of all time.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
We're in our worst movie segment.
We're trying to find the worst movies of all these actors and actresses.
Dude, I'm sorry. The reason that I messed up there was because I got my window open because it's a bit hot, but like I might have to close my window because there's people doing like burnouts in the streets. You know,
people doing burnouts in the streets.
You know, there's people doing burnouts in the streets.
Far out.
Like the fumes are coming in.
That's unsafe.
I can smell the fumes. You know.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Should I close that window real quick?
I think maybe close your window.
All right, let me close that window real quick.
Close that window real quick. Your regularly scheduled programming will return momentarily. All
right, Vincent, we're back. We're back.
Okay.
Now, Vincent, how are you today, man? You look good.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I've had a haircut, which is good. I hadn't had a haircut for about 2 months. Because,
that's pandemic things.
That's just pandemic things. Bro, I'm getting phone calls from Marzi Media. Are you for real?
Man. This is the media that creates our content. We create our content. They don't do anything for us.
That's right. All right, just keep going. I'll ignore that. It is what it is.
All right, Vincent, can I tell you that we are doing 2020's very own Shadow in the Cloud?
Oh, this was 2020. I thought this was a 2021 property.
No, this is a 2020 joint. Now, this is actually
for a while.
Yeah, but the reason that we're doing it, even though it's been out for a while, is because this has been recommended to us by a friend of the show, Tess.
Thank you, Tess. Is this the same Tess that recommended the Moon Spinners? No, that trash movie was.
The Ugly Dachshund.
The Ugly Dachshund, the literal worst movie of all time.
Yeah, this is the one. Well, Tess, she didn't really recommend it.
Tess, what are you doing?
After the Tom Holland worst movie of all time, she was like, this could be Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie of all time.
Yeah.
So she wanted us to figure that out, for you, the listener and the viewer.
Okay.
Yeah. So does that sound like a good idea?
We've both watched it. You've watched the movie?
I watched the movie, man. I watched it all the way through.
Well, we're in as good a position as any to deduce if this was Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie.
Is it Moretz or Mortez? It's Moretz, right?
It's definitely not Mortez.
It's not like Mortician or nothing? It's not like Morticia Adams? It's Moretz, right?
No, I think it's actually Morticia Adams. I think that's what it is, exactly.
So, Vincent, can I tell you, because I'm in a really good position right now to tell you some facts about this movie and give you a bit of a synopsis.
Yeah, give me some facts, give me the synopsis. As
I said, this came out in 2020's very own, one of the greatest years of all time. Like, we all know that already. It has a 78% on the Rotten Tomatoes, which is quite high. Has a 4.9 out of 10 on the IMDb. It had a budget of around $10 million and made $908,000. Right? Now, let me just give you a quick synopsis if I can find my synopsis here. While traveling with top secret documents on a B-17 flying fortress, a female World War II pilot encounters an evil presence on board. And we're here. And we're here. So, Vincent, would you say that is probably the best synopsis you could give this movie?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Now, can I talk about things that we're going to get into?
Okay.
And then we'll get into them.
Talk about things we're going to get into.
So, one, I want to talk about, the foreshadowing in this movie. I want to leave that to last. But I want to talk about the foreshadowing in this movie. And I want to talk about not the individual characters, but just the characters as a whole and how they interact. How it's just like we've just thrown a movie together with not only racism, sexism, but just pure male chauvinistic individuals, right? That's 90% of this movie. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about, is this Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie, and was she given anything to work with here?
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
I want to add one more category to our discussion.
Add it, man.
Is a discussion on the accents in this movie, and if they were performed by people of the actual accents, or if they were putting them on, or if they were just so bad that you couldn't tell either.
I think a lot of them were so bad that, you couldn't tell where they were from.
Should we start with that?
Should we just... No, I do want to get into the start of this movie.
Okay, you want to take the start?
Just very quickly. Now, this is a movie that... It doesn't tell you much going into it. I mean, it gives you this opening sequence of this cartoon character with gremlins on a plane, and how gremlins don't actually exist. It's just, the idea that when things go wrong, you blame it on some other external force, right?
It was like an old-timey cartoon.
Yeah, like a World War II era cartoon, but, if they were doing cartoons back then like that, that's what it would look like, I'm assuming. Now, I'm assuming as well that this is based off of, in some way, the Twilight Zone, that TV show from back in the day, and they also did a remake of it. It's essentially like crazy things happening to normal people, and they're like, what am I going to do? Oh my God, I'm in the Twilight Zone, And there's one episode in which I think Bill Shatner, what's the man's name?
Yeah, Will.
Shatner. Will and Bill, right? He's on a plane, and there's like a monster on the side of the plane that's like tearing at the plane. And he's like, I see a monster. And everyone's like, nah, it's not there. So essentially that's, this movie is either paying homage to that, or is just directly taking from that and adding a different spin to it.
Yeah.
But it's also paying homage to one of the greatest Simpsons episodes of all time, the Gremlin on the bus. Do you remember that one?
On the bus. No, I don't. No.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Anyway, put that in the show notes because that's good.
Okay.
But this movie starts off with Chloë Grace-Moretz. She's walking down a strip, a landing strip, and she's got a package, and her goal is to get this package from one place to another. Now there's like ghastly and ghoulish things going on in this airport strip.
Yeah.
Like there's a man's there that is there and then vanishes within the clouds.
He's flagging down a plane and then he's gone.
Which is never explained.
Also, she's just on the landing strip.
Like she's walking directly in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how you get on a plane.
No, you usually there's safer ways to get on a plane, especially like with a storm brewing and the rain and all that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah.
But that whole opening scene put me into a space of it being a completely different movie.
Yes. I would say that the whole start of this movie, I actually enjoyed most parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it created a real atmosphere. It was, you were going, what's going on here? What's happening? There's obviously something going on.
Yeah.
But what is it? And then for lack of better words, it's an absolute nosedive after the first maybe 20 minutes.
It is, and
that's airplane humor.
I mean, that's airplane humor. That's like, can we talk about airplane food for a second? That's Jerry Seinfeld's
What's the deal,
right? What's the deal? This is the deal, though. This start also has, and I'm not sure if this is like homage to the fact that it is based on the Twilight Zone, which I'm assuming. I should probably look up where it came out, but I'm assuming it's like 70s, 80s, that sort of era, because the music, those synths, that they're using at the start, they're good synths, but they don't.
Sorry,
I was going to say they're good synths, but they don't match with anything within that movie and within that space. But also, it's not brought into the movie more. Like if you're going to do some cool synths, at least make the movie more bright and spectacular and crazy. It's just a general World War II movie, but they got synths over the top.
Yeah, I was getting real Blade Runner style music vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I did really like how the movie started. I thought it was intriguing, and I thought I was in there and I was going, this may not be Chloe like Grace-Moretz's or Morticia Adams' worst movie. I didn't know.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
But who was it directed by as well?
Just quickly, Twilight Zone came out 1959 to 1964, so it's probably not based on the music from that era. I just assume maybe there was a link there. This was directed by Roseanne Liang.
Yeah, I thought it would be a female.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of themes in this movie that are very much scripted towards portraying a story of a female who's being put down, even though she is in that correct position and she is doing everything. She's
also
that she
very
can.
Capable.
That's the word that I'm looking for. She's more capable than anyone else on the thing.
That's right. Yeah. It was very clear that they were trying to paint the picture of likely the attitudes towards women at the time, and then showing that she is actually the one that's going to save the day, and she's going to be the one that's going to show the men that she is capable or she prove to herself or whatever, which I thought was good, but it was almost a bit too on the nose or something.
Yeah, no, that's
it was
exactly
like
right.
Because the sexism and I almost couldn't handle that. That was pretty bad at the start, but it also felt so inorganic, I guess. It just felt like it sounded scripted. It didn't sound like that was
that's right.
A conversation that they would be having. I mean, whether it is or isn't, it didn't feel fluid. Sorry, keep going.
No, I was going to say the first 25 minutes is literally that. Like post her getting onto the plane and you figuring out you trying to figure out what's going on. There's 25 minutes of her sitting in this. She's in this lower compartment, like a gunner part of the plane, and they're just saying the most sexist, but also the most racist stuff ever.
Oh
but
shocker.
It doesn't flow at all.
No.
It's just like, oh man, I'd love her in the kitchen. Oh yeah, bro, yeah, me too. Oh, what about this sexist remark? Oh, what about this racist remark? They're not connected to each other either.
It's not like they're having a conversation with each other. They've just all got a piece of paper going, okay, I say this, then I say this, then I say this. And they very well could be doing that because none of them are on screen.
And that's the thing, because you can't see them, it makes it feel more like they're not connected. One, they're not in the same space, and two, they're just reading the line after the next line. You know what I mean? Yeah,
the dialogue needed to be more organic for it to be realistic when you especially can't see them.
Yeah, and I wasn't around in the 1940s, but I don't know if a conversation like that could have lasted more than 2 minutes of snarky remarks.
Yeah,
because and I'm not even kidding. It's literally about 10 minutes of them going back and forth, just saying stuff, and her saying, I can hear you guys.
Yeah, and they're all just kind of one-liners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other issue with that, like we're jumping now into the racist/sexist segment of this podcast. But the other issue with that is, one, I didn't know who the characters were. They do a little segment where a character will say something and it shows his face, like in a bright room. But I completely forgot after that.
Who the only dude were?
I remember. Yeah, like when they're talking.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Like for all I know, the good people on the plane could have been the ones that were saying sexist things. And I was going to say, when you lose that connection with who the characters are, one, I didn't care about them, obviously, because that's fine. You don't need to care about these people because they're sexist. But two, the ones that I was meant to care about, I didn't even know who they were.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a strange... It felt like they were trying to achieve something. I don't know what that was, but it didn't hit. It really missed, I thought. Yeah.
And it throws you out of the movie until it comes to the point in which you see that there's like a gremlin on the plane, and you're like, what is going on here?
Wow, now we're in a different movie.
We're in a different movie, but there's... is the gremlin meant to be sexism? Like, is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought for a minute that it was going to be, only some people can see the gremlin, because someone was going, it's on the wing, and then the other guy was like, I can't see anything. But, yeah. I think also going with the just showing, I mean, the whole start of the movie is just Chloë Grace-Moretz in this little gunner cockpit by herself, and she's dealing with whatever she needs to deal with. And I think you're hearing the accents. The accents really threw it for me. None of the accents sounded genuine. Whether they were or weren't, they all sounded like they were being badly put on. And even when Chloë Grace-Moretz started speaking in American with an American accent, because she was putting on a British accent, even then it felt like she was putting on an accent.
Yeah, I didn't realize that she had, when they're like, there's something up with her voice. Listen to her voice. And she was speaking in an American accent. I didn't realize.
Yeah, neither did I.
I just assumed that she was speaking the same way that she was before.
Yeah.
And the way that she was before was quite jarring. And I didn't even, the only movie I've seen with Chloë Grace-Moretz is Kick-Ass, I think. I've seen that.
Did you see the one with Denzel?
The
one where he's like, 35 seconds, and then he just kills a whole bunch of dudes.
The Equalizer. Yeah,
right.
I have seen that as well. But even though I've seen her in those movies, and I knew that, she didn't have an English accent, this just threw me because the English accent just didn't sound genuine.
Yeah.
And why couldn't she have had an American accent?
Man, I don't know. Maybe they were picking her up from London, and
maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. There was
the character that I think needed to really work on whatever they were doing was the man that played Taggart. The man that was the bold, guy? The Scottish guy.
Yeah.
Because I could have sworn he had 3 or 4 different accents throughout this movie.
I don't know what that was. I was doing.
And look, we can't stand here and say, these are actors, they're not doing their job right, because if we were actors, we wouldn't be, we're not even doing our podcasting job right.
We don't do any of our jobs right. That's exactly right.
No, yeah. For all we should be on the clock right now, but that's not what we're going to tell you right now. But yeah, this accent just, and the fact that when you have a bad accent that doesn't work, it throws you out the movie because you're trying to figure out what's going on. But 2, you don't actually listen to what these people are saying.
No, you're just going, what kind of accent is that? Is that real or not? That's
and
what
at the
you're
end of
trying
the
to
day,
work out.
It didn't really matter what these people were saying because it was all just garbage anyway.
Yeah.
There was nothing of substance. And what it led to was that when there was those moments where Chloë Grace-Moretz was saying what she needed to say with some substance, about her life and about what she's experienced, I didn't care about it. Because I stopped listening at the 25-minute mark.
Yeah.
When I heard of the amount of because there's a racial slur that they use multiple times, which is really bad. And it's almost one of those things where it's like, you've used this slur. I understand because it's in 1940s.
You're trying to
and
show
you want
that
to portray
it's the
a picture.
time. Yeah.
But at the same time, everything else that you're doing doesn't fit and doesn't work and doesn't connect. So I'm just hearing words. I'm not hearing dialogue.
Yeah,
and it just every time they said it, just threw me out. I was like,
that is exactly
correct.
Saying that. What you just said there, You're just hearing words. You're not hearing dialogue. That's exactly what it is. Should we talk about different words? Yeah, let's talk about something else.
Should we talk about the Gremlin?
Yeah. Okay.
So tell him like I talk about foreshadowing before, and this movie genuinely starts off with that cartoon.
Yeah.
And then there's a
Which
poster
also,
that says...
I'll add into that one, the accent of the guy that was doing the narration, it sounded like they were trying to get that old-timey voice. They missed that as well. So the whole time I was going, this is close, but there's something off about it.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, the cartoon looked fine itself.
Yeah, the cartoon was fine.
But there's that, and then there's also like as Chloë Grace-Moretz is getting something out of her locker, there's a poster that says "Watch out for gremlins on planes." And at that point, because I had read the synopsis before I'd started, which doesn't say anything about gremlins, but I think somewhere in there or somewhere I saw it was an action horror. And I was like, well, there's going to be a gremlin in this movie. There's going to be a gremlin. Like if they're talking about gremlins so much, there's going to be a gremlin in this movie. And, I was not expecting it to look like... It's funny because it looked like... Have you ever seen Cloverfield?
Yes.
It looked like the Cloverfield monster, but a baby version of it. So when it was getting towards the end of the movie, I was going to be like, this is some Cloverfield prequel, isn't it? It's going to end off and say like...
Yeah, that's right. They're doing it again.
Like, that's where the thing came from. It just came from this plane with Chloë Grace-Moretz. The design of the gremlin was stuck in between trying to almost look humanoid, look scary, but also cute at times.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah.
It didn't know what it was doing.
I had no issue with the appearance of the gremlin.
I mean, we've never seen a gremlin before, so like,
that's
for
right.
all we know, that's good things.
I mean, there was some scary bits, when she's fighting the gremlin in the... I thought, to be honest, I thought a lot of the scenes with Chloë Grace-Moretz and the gremlin were pretty cool, except for the end one, which we'll get to later.
Oh, bro, we have to talk about that at the end because that's great. That's great stuff. That's great stuff. I liked the scenes where the gremlin was in shadow and the gremlin was on the side of the plane ripping things up, because that's genuinely scary. If you're on a plane and you can't escape it, and especially where she is in,
you just that's right. You just see things because she couldn't get out of that little area thing, and she's just seeing parts getting flown off the plane.
Yeah, and she can't make out what it is that it's actually taking the parts off the plane, but also she has no ways of communicating that to these people because they don't want to listen.
Yeah,
which is that's genuinely a terrifying idea, and it's an idea that I remember I had this dream one time where I was like walking through my hallway and I looked up, and in the vents for the air conditioner there was like a face looking down at me, and I went to tell everyone and they just didn't believe me. And it was the scariest thing because I was like, I've genuinely seen some face looking at me, like dead-eyed face looking at me.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, nah, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. And to feel that, you feel anxious because you're like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm trying to help people, but nothing's working.
Yeah.
So the idea of this movie is great. And the idea of the Twilight Zone, the one that sort of this was paying homage to, is a great idea because it plays on the idea of paranoia and fear and how that can make others seem or make others think that you're crazy, even though you're seeing the world for as it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the start of this movie, apart from the words that were said, the actual atmosphere I thought was really good, and it's set the scene really nicely for a half decent movie, and then
And this could have been 23 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If this was an hour movie and it's literally just they're in one space, because obviously that's what they were aiming for, to make this a quite a cheap movie. It's $10 million, even though there's some actors in this that are that we would know. For example, Chloë Grace-Moretz.
Yeah.
Is this her worst movie? And there's also the pilot. The pilot is an Australian actor who's been in like Batman vs Superman and things.
Yeah, I can't remember that guy's name.
I don't remember his name either. But those one shots just in one single space. You don't have to pay a lot of money for that, but you can do so much with it, especially over a short period of time.
Yeah.
But they dragged it out.
They did. They did drag it out, but it's not that they dragged it out. It's that it's not that the actual time was an issue, because if you make things interesting and you keep the audience's attention, it's fine. You can put them in there the whole movie.
That's true.
But it was getting to a point where you were looking at it and you were going, I need something different here. There's nothing for me here. And she's just saying, don't open the package, don't open the package. There was just like 20 minutes of that.
And the guy upstairs was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to open the package. Don't worry, I'm going to stop everyone from opening the package."
Yeah.
The other issue is they had many lanes that they were trying to drive in.
I feel
they were
like
swerving all over the road.
I agree. I feel like this movie was trying to hit too many flags, too many checkpoints. Like this was going for a speed run of getting all the achievements or something.
That's right. And if like Chloë Grace Moretz and the crew, if this was strictly a horror movie or strictly an action movie, because when the idea is that it's not only is she cramped in there, they're in a plane, there's no escape. You're 30,000, however many thousand feet in the air. You can't just jump out and be safe. Like everywhere is going to be dangerous if there's a threat on there. If they had just stuck with that and kept it that everyone's sort of on the edge and they're struggling to figure out what's going on, they're scared, they're paranoid. But then it becomes like an action movie where Chloë Grace Moretz is doing like parkour across a burning plane.
Yeah, with a child.
With a child in tow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
for
you
those,
haven't watched this movie, there's obviously spoilers. Like we've spoiled it now. The package is a kid. Her kid is in a little box, a little radio box, and by the end of that movie, that kid dead.
100%.
That kid is dead, or its brains is scrambled eggs.
I've got 3 reasons, or maybe 4 reasons why that kid is not going to be the same afterwards. One is that there's just trauma.
Yeah,
the
100%.
amount of loud noises.
Yeah.
People screaming, all those sorts of things.
The fact that it's in a box for an extended period of time.
Right, that's trauma. Even though it's a baby like that, their scheme is being formed right here. The second thing is there's head trauma.
Oh,
the bag when Chloë Grace Moretz is going around the plane,
she's
bag
outside
is
of the
flung.
plane at this point.
The bag is being flung everywhere.
Yeah.
It's moving up and down. The baby is like hitting the walls, hitting
the baby is strapped in, but still, it's getting shaken too much. You shake a kid too much, that's it for them.
You're not even meant to do these ones with a baby these days. You know what I mean? Like, because the brain just be wobbling.
That's right.
And also,
if you don't strap the brain in, then there's no point strapping the kid in.
that baby got sedated before it went on board.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but if some people, when some people get sedated, when some people take anesthetics, they things are passing after that. Like, they don't always feel 100%. They might do they might be on the toilet.
Oh.
3 out of 24 hours of the day, right? This baby would have pooed and weed its pants that many times and just been sitting in it for the length of this movie. You didn't think about that, did you? You didn't think about all the nappy rash that this baby's experiencing.
I did not think about that. I did not think about that. Absolutely not.
But that's nappy rash, man, and that's serious issues.
Well, because that's not a thing that I think about, day to day. That's not a consideration I have to take. My kids growing up
one
now.
Day. Your kids are grown up, but maybe one day when they have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a day, though. It's going to be a day for you.
It's going to be an absolute day. I'm going to get up and I'm going to get up and I'm going to laugh. Be down at the office.
You'll be like, look at all these kids. And that's why you should head to the Patreon to support Vincent's kids.
That's right.
Because we need that money.
Yeah.
So, Vincent, is there anything else that you want to chat about specifically before we get into the back end of this movie and a real pivotal scene that I'd like to discuss?
Not really. I do want to take a moment to... I'm trying to think of... There was a few moments where I was actually laughing out loud. But not because of humour, because of how stupid things were. And I can't quite remember them, but yeah, go.
Can I tell you 2 of them?
Yeah.
One is when the gremlin is looking at Chloë Grace Moretz, and I'm going to continue to say Chloë Grace Moretz because I don't know her on a first name basis. Maybe Miss Moretz, and the gremlin is looking at her, and its tongue is just inflaming,
and it just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah. And like, obviously, it's meant to be menacing and whatnot, but like, I'll shoot that thing in the head. Like,
I don't know.
Grace Moretz has got a gun.
That's
she's
right.
just looking at this tongue. That might have been the part when her bullets were not available, but the other bit is she's so the gremlin opens the hatch of the thing that she's in, and to stop it from remaining open, she puts her finger into this metal.
Yeah, to bolt it shut, essentially.
To bolt it shut. One, that's not going to work out well for you. If you're putting your finger in metal things that can open at any minute, your finger's going to get broken. But two, when her finger does get broken or dislocated, the length of that finger dramatically increases.
It's like, if you can see the video, it's like 2 fingers length. And I've just got a pen here, and that's like there. And that's the end. That's the finger. It's going over across like that.
It's like a 15 to 20 centimeter finger after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, there'd be some increase in length with some dislocation.
There would be, but not that quite. Not that
much.
No.
That made me laugh.
Also, the way that she's looking at it, and it hangs there, and she's just looking at this finger that's clearly not 1 finger length.
No.
Yeah. Those weren't the points that I laughed at. There was some specific ones I should have written about. No, I've forgotten them now. But it is what it is.
The other thing is, I don't know, maybe, we haven't been in fighter jets, and we haven't, manned a turret or anything like that. But this is a classic trope in all war movies, when they're on a big turret and they're like, ah, as they're shooting.
Yeah.
Like, do you need to scream?
Yeah, you got to do that.
It's cool to do that, but is it required? Like, is it because I'm exerting my strength, so I need to yell?
It's 100% required.
Okay. Just so long as you think that's required, I agree.
It's like when you're going to find a park at the supermarket, you got to turn the volume down on the music. It's just an unwritten law of living.
Is that what you did this morning when you went to the supermarkets?
Yeah. I just turned the music down. I just gotta pull into this park.
Have you ever been in the car when heads are talking and you turn the volume down? Like, that's just out of just habit because they're just talking too loud?
Well, the last time I had more than one person in my car was probably a long time
2019?
ago. Probably 2019, that's right. So,
all right, Vincent, let's get into the end of this movie. I think
let's get into it. So let's recap what happened. So essentially, the Gremlins tearing the thing up. A couple of the other guys are seeing the Gremlin, and then they've got Japanese enemy ships.
Yes.
And so now they're in a dogfight. And then Chloë Grace-Moretz is then doing rock climbing things, but on the plane. And it's the Gremlin's got some fascination with the kid. It keeps finding the kid. The crew finds out that they've got the kid there. And then they want to save the kid or something. She tells them, "Oh, I'm actually this person. My husband was this guy. He's a dog bloke," and so on and so forth. And then the plane's getting blown up and torn apart.
This is exactly right. Yeah,
that's it.
And they have to do a crash landing. They have to do like a They have to crash land on this island and.
No! Now I'm thinking, so they have to crash land on the island. But the thing that I laughed the most at was when Chloë Grace-Moretz was coming up, because the turret is gone. It's been gone. It's done. It's just a hole in the plane now, and she's climbed to another part of the plane, grabbed the kid, then back through the hole to get onto the deck of the plane, the starboard deck. I don't know if that's plane or if that's boat. But
that could be both. That could be both.
That's right. So she gets the baby off, and then she falls. She's got like a bandage around her wrist, and it catches, and you go, "Oh, okay, she's going to climb up," and then she falls.
Yeah.
And then a plane blows up below her, and the impact of that plane, it sends through a force that pushes her back into the plane. I'm just thinking, whether that works, within the laws of physics and thermodynamics is beyond me. I don't have that. I don't have the capabilities, but that is hilarious.
That is very funny. And we're a fan of like Jason Statham. You know, he'll flip a car, he'll grab a bomb on the underside of the car. But this was just done. It just wasn't done well.
Yeah.
If it was like done from a different angle and you saw like a better angle of her flying up,
it was top down. It was just it's too funny.
The other funny thing on the plane was that so the Gremlin is on the plane at one stage, and they're like heads are. We'll get into this a bit more later, but heads are fist fighting it. And there's a time where Chloë Grace-Moretz says like, "I'm ending this," essentially, and just starts like walking real seriously towards the Gremlin, and the Gremlin just pieces her up real quick. And that scene just ends. You know what I mean? Like she just gets pieced up by the Gremlin, then it goes on to the next thing.
Yeah, there's the whole, you don't know how far I'll go. She says that at some point.
Yeah,
obviously because it's so cute. And yeah.
So I just wanted to quickly say before we get into the final scene, there's two line readings that were just like Chloë didn't put effort into them, and one of them was so the Gremlin steals her baby and has it, and she's yelling at the Gremlin. She says, "You don't know how far I'll go. You don't know how far I'll go." Like at that cadence, but also with that amount of effort. So she says that, and then later the pilot dies. Pilot gets shot up, and she says, "Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Stay with me."
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's just like, and it's like, if I was the pilot, I'd just be dying just because this line reading is done poorly. I'm not here for this sort of content.
Right, she's saying, you don't know how far I'll go. It's about 35 centimeters. She go, well, that's it for me, you know.
I've gone there. I can't go any further.
That's right.
But here's the thing, right? Chloë Grace-Moretz, what we've seen her in previously, really good actor. You don't know what things could be going on. You don't know if Covidica's things were going on.
Yeah, you don't know how far she'll go for her acting career. Maybe it's not that far.
That's right.
Maybe she's got other things she wants to do. Maybe she'll just do gardening. Which
is good, man. That's good for your mental health.
It's good for the plants as well.
And physical. Yeah, 100%. You create a little bee like an insect hotel. You get some bees in there. Your plants will be thriving.
That's right.
But let's get into the final scene.
Yeah, so they've crash landed the plane. They've done, they did a 180. They turned the nosedive into a, forehead dive, and we're in. Or a nosedive into a Dr. Zeus human nosedive.
100%. You're exactly the Whovillians.
The Whovillians, that's right.
This is like if you've ever seen the movie Flight with Denzel Washington. They just do what Denzel did,
Yeah.
But go on,
I've seen him in The Equalizer. We could do this. That's right. That's what Chloë Grace-Moretz is saying. Yeah, so they crashed the plane. They crashed the plane. That's it. There's four heads. There's Chloë Grace-Moretz. There's this Quaid bloke, which apparently it's his kid. They had some sort of relationship and whatever. There's I don't know. There's a human element to this which was missed. There's another kid that was talking about his love of some lady named Marge or something. And then there was the New Zealand co-pilot. And that's it. They crash landed the plane. And the Gremlin is still there for some reason. And this Chloë Grace-Moretz is like, I don't even know. It turns into like a Rocky episode 12. And she's just walking there, I was expecting to hear the like heavy metal playing, some guitar riffs, and she's just going there to fight the Gremlin. And then she's just fighting the Gremlin, and then she just,
So the Gremlin pops out of nowhere, and steals the baby again. So Chloë Grace-Moretz meets it in this knee-deep water.
Yeah.
And as Vinny says, they're not fighting like as in, hitting them with sticks and stuff. Chloë Grace-Moretz is just, is hoodlesing this guy.
Yeah.
Just with the fists.
Dude's got, that's right. Dude's got claws. And she's, doing like blocks. She's like doing blocks and then, sorry, I've broken your arm.
And the Gremlin is doing the same thing back. Like you're a Gremlin with teeth, you'd be like moving around, you'd be jumping at the legs, like scratching the legs up. This thing is throwing hands. It's like it's like Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor out there.
Yeah.
One is doing well at the start, but then you realise they're severely undermatched in regards to the boxing technique, because one is a literal gremlin.
Yeah, no,
and then Chloe Grace-Moretz grabs the gremlin's hands and cuts his own throat with it. And then she walks back, and it's. I think this scene would have been an iconic scene for the world of on-screen feminism if this was a great movie.
Yeah, probably.
Because she walks back
but
and she
also,
breastfeeds her baby to finish off the movie.
That's right. Also, if the gremlin had represented something other than this thing that steals her kid and destroys a plane.
That's what I don't get. Like, is the gremlin meant to be her ex-husband who was horrible?
It was unclear and it was not well executed.
No. And also, that gremlin looked sort of cute towards the end. I was like, this looks a bit like my cat, and you just slit its throat.
You're looking at your cat like, don't worry, I would never do that to you. Even if we
my
had
cat was there like, my cat was there with the ears going backwards, like, nah, this is not for me, guys. This is not for me. But here's the thing, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man, I knocked my mic. There we go. Here's the thing, Vincent. We're at the end of this movie. Now, Vincent, is this Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie of all time?
This is by far the worst one I've seen her in. I've seen her in maybe 3 movies. Maybe. Mm-hmm. So I would say this was the worst movie. I would not recommend you watch this. No. This is my synopsis of the movie. I said, the movie looks like it was shot by a bunch of teenagers with a mate who was half decent at special effects.
Yeah, dude. This is trying to teach me something, but I don't know what it is, and I feel uncomfortable while learning.
Learning. Yeah, it was just it felt like there were some good intentions there. There were some good intentions in terms of moral story, but also cinematic story. Mm-hmm. But they were either trying to do too much, or didn't have enough time, or they maybe just weren't good enough. Maybe they were just out of their element.
And look, Chloë Grace-Moretz, if you come across this is not on you. Actors get a lot of blame for what's going on, but there's a a team effort.
That's right.
You can't just chuck Leo in a piece of trash movie and expect it to be a good movie. Everyone needs to be pulling strings and getting things done. So when we say this is Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie, we aren't saying that Chloë Grace-Moretz is bad in any way. We don't want to be trolling people out here.
That's right. And at the end of the day, you make movies, there's always going to be your worst. Yeah. Even if you make good movies.
She probably got at least like a couple $100,000 out of this.
Well, the budget was $10 million.
Mm.
That's a decent budget.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it only made $980,000.
908.
908.
908,000.
That's rough.
So, Chloë Grace-Moretz, she's making at least a couple $100,000, right? We make about $12 to $15 a month on the Patreon, which you can sign up to, because Vincent, you're going to tell them where they can find us right now.
Did you give your review of the movie? That was it. You said that.
Yeah, my review was that I felt uncomfortable and that it is 100%. Not only is it Chloë Grace-Moretz's worst movie of all time, but is that Gremlin's worst movie of all time.
Oh, that's right. That Gremlin not getting another starring role.
Nah, dude.
100%. That definitely was one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Sort of in a good way,
Tess,
though.
this is for you. Thank you so much for bringing, once again, one of the worst pieces of content we have watched here on the back catalogue.
Yeah. It wasn't as bad as The Ugly Dachshund.
No, that's right. I was at least interested to continue watching. The Ugly Dachshund, I was ready to switch that off after about 10 minutes.
On a scale from The Ugly Dachshund to Snow White, this sits just above the Dachshund, but not below it.
That's right. Snow White, 100% a better movie, if we're going back 100%. To that scale.
All right, Mr. Tell them where they can find us.
All right, so Apo said, Patreon, if you want to add to the $12 to $15 a month, we've got plenty of content there. We also do some behind-the-scenes video, which is, it's pretty much the same as what we do. It's pretty low quality content anyway, so yeah.
Yeah.
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Check us out. Follow us, like and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, we've got other videos. We have other videos. We've done them. Watch them, please. Yeah, that's all. That's it. Talk soon. Talk soon?
Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.